Michelle Sandler, how are you?
I love it. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you so much, Shelli Varela. You rock.
I'm thrilled to have you because I have had the great privilege of working with you. And during the course of our work together, not only have you helped me, allowed me to get my message out into the world because, I have a lot of gifts. Organization in tech is not one of them. So it's been super powerful for me to have somebody like you. And I know the same is true for so many others. So I also had the privilege of hearing your backstory, and I knew that it was going to be one that would be resonant with the people who are listening, and it's one that we can all see ourselves in that story and how you went on to triumph and stuff. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you
Well,
and your time.
thank you for having me. I don't know if you know, you've always been an inspiration to me as well. So, part of the reason why I have my Facebook group, or my Facebook page, I should say, Searchy Success is because of you. Have I ever told you that
What?
story?
No. So
Yes,
can you
yes,
explain to everybody listening
yes.
what is
Okay.
okay, wait, what is Searchy for those who don't
Well,
know?
Searchy is a content management tool that helps course and membership creators and coaches get their product out into the world, basically. And it's a tool, right? And so I help all of these people to use this tool and to be able to manage it better. And I say harness the power and endless possibilities of Searchy, right? So I started this Facebook page because the product it's fairly new in the scheme of things. Tech products, it's only 3 years old. So I started this when they brought out this new product about a year and a half ago called Hubs, and everybody was trying to learn how to use it. Nobody really, was like scrambling around trying to learn from other people.
And
And
sorry, let me just jump in. So a hub is a place where if you have a course, a membership, a gift that you're offering the world, a hub is basically your command central where your product lives and where you output all of the things to your members.
yeah, right. So I was like, everybody just wanted to share all these ideas, and I was like, who's really good at doing this, And so I was like, Shelli Varela did this with this podcast. She shared people's awesome stories, and I had heard about you through Stu McLaren's tribe, and I was like, she did this. So I literally looked you up and went and find out how did she do this. So I did it because my community is video, so I was like, hey, Searchy Success. So I'm going to start interviewing people on how they have their success, but with
Yes.
Searchy, but doing it on video. So that's what I started doing. So how have you had success with this? And share everybody's story. So
Hmm.
anyway, you are my inspiration.
Oh, well, that's super sweet. And I just really believe, like, if we can share people's stories, it allows the person who's listening to see themselves in the story. And even with a product like Searchy or a company like yours, in the way that you help coaches, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, it's the way you explain how you help people, and most importantly, the transformation you make for them and the impact they're now able to go and make in the world because of what you do. Like, oftentimes we don't, maybe I always have this saying when I'm teaching story, the audience gets no jobs, which means we have to
Mm,
make it like dead nuts obvious for them. So the sharing of the stories not only allows them to say, oh, like that could be me, but also it tweaks them and gives them ideas about their own possibility. So they don't have to come to that conclusion on their own. We serve it up and we offer it to them in a way that provides inspiration. So, can you tell us a bit of your backstory? Because you have been one of my Swiss Army knives of business. I don't remember who the author is, and I should research this, but there's a book called Rocket Fuel. And it's the idea that successful companies have both a visionary, somebody who has the ideas and is out front. It's like, oh, hey, we're taking the company here, or this is how we help people, or the messaging and the marketing, all that kind of things. And on the back end, what you also need for it to be successful is something they call an integrator. Basically, it's the business wizard. It's the person who has the ability to do systems and organizations and tech and workflow and all of those things. And from a human perspective, having both of these skill sets is actually quite unusual. You're usually leaning towards a visionary or you're leaning towards an integrator. You, my dear, have a very unusual balance of both left brain and right brain. Can you take us back to the beginning of your story and tell us how that came to be?
Well, thank you. By the way, so kind of you. But I, I have been in marketing and sales and all that since, I'm not going to date myself, but a lot of years, right? And I was always, a career woman, and really was passionate about my career, so much that, like, when my husband first met me, he was like, I don't know if we're going to be a good fit, because I really want to, have kids, and I want to, and he like thought I was such a career woman that I wasn't going to be interested in like having a family, and so, and in fact, when we had our first child, I, I thought I was going to go back to work, and all that kind of stuff. But when I had my daughter, I fell so deeply in love with her. I never thought
Mm.
this would happen. I didn't want to go back to work. And I called my boss after a few weeks, and I said, I can't come back to work. And she was just shocked. She was like, really? What? Are you serious?
Because
You're
you
not
were the
coming back
last
to
person
work?
she expected to be a stay-at-home mom. You're like, Michelle's the
Uh,
ringer. She's coming back.
Absolutely, absolutely. So she made a deal with me. She's like, I just want to keep you. I just need to keep you. Like, will you work just any hours for me? So I like literally put my daughter to bed. When she'd wake up for those 3 a.m. feedings and I couldn't go back to sleep or whatever, I'd just do work for her. I kept my head in the game. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of kept working for her, little projects on the side. Because she just couldn't believe it. And that's how much like of a career woman that I was. And so I had 3 kids. Never thought I'd have three. Also, by the way, I thought I would have two, and had 3 kids. And I stayed home with them. I always kind of kept my head, and it always did some kind of work, some sort of part-time something on the side, some sort of gig, if you will. And also did part-time jobs, for the school or the PTA or some sort of volunteer work or that sort of thing. And all those jobs along the way kind of helped me keep my skills going. For the PTA, when I was the PTA president, I had to still do the email newsletter, or I did some work with a youth organization here that helps to keep kids like drug free, and that sort of a thing. I helped them with their website and their messaging. You know what I mean? So even though I wasn't working full time, I still kind of keeping my skills up and skills going. When then my kids got to be older, I did decide, I did want to go back to work. Like, at some point, I do want to get going again. I don't want, to always have to be home, and I would like to be earning some income and create a legacy for my kids, and, have money for myself to be able to play and that sort of a thing. And so I started to enter back into the workforce, and I was telling you the story and your eyes bugged out. Somebody offered me $8 an hour to go back to work.
That's
This was
let me just jump in on that. So, just to recap, this incredibly successful career woman thought you would never stay home with your kids. You have the kids, they literally break your heart open. Falling in love with another human being to that level. You decide to stay home, but yet still in your back pocket, you are this person who's had this incredible success, who has operated at a certain level, and you go back after having kids and they offer you $8 an hour.
Yeah.
What
And
did that?
this is like 10-ish, years ago. Well, yeah, this is 10-ish years ago,
Well, I know
15 years ago.
many of us listening
Mm-hmm.
are in similar situations where you have to tap out of a career for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go back, it feels a certain kind of way. You feel
Mm-hmm.
sometimes rusty, sometimes irrelevant. What did that
Mm-hmm.
feel like for you when somebody who was operating at the level you were, and you spend all of this time raising your kids, when you go back, it's not just the insult of the $8 an hour, but what did that feel like for yourself when it's a situation of, well, is my worth still valid, or is my worth seen as still valid?
Right. Right. Well, there's two different things. I've always come from a place of like, money is currency, right? I mean, money, I've never led my life where like money is the primary thing in my life. I've always believed that like you do right, you do a good job, you treat people honestly and fairly, and money, money will be the thing that comes, right? Like you don't let money be your guiding factor, but at the same time it is a currency, right? It is the currency in which the world works. Let's be real, right? So it did really hit me hard that like, oh my gosh, is that really my worth and my value, and is this how the world sees me? It was a really hard pill to swallow. And I kind of felt like, oh my gosh, like I've given my life to these to the future, like these kids, and I've done a good job raising them. Like, this is what it's come to, that now I get to re-enter the workforce, and this is what it's going to be, and it was a really hard pill to swallow. But at the same time, I knew that I had a choice. I could do one of two things. I could go back and just, take that and or look for something different, which I did look for something slightly different that paid a little bit more, and just swallow the pill and say, you know what, I'm going to do everything I can to make this situation as different as possible in as short a period of time. And that's what I did, because I believed in myself. I knew that I had something to offer. I knew that it didn't have to be this way for long, that I could change I could change the world's mind about me, that it didn't have to be this way. And I didn't have to accept the terms that were being doled out to me. And I wasn't going to accept that for much longer. I might be willing to accept it for a short period of time, but it wasn't going to be for long.
So what was in your backpack and what were you doing during the time when you're like, okay, I'm not going to lie down and take this. I'm going to switch or pivot or change or learn something new. What did that period of time? Because I know so many people are experiencing something parallel where you've had to tap out for whatever reason and you go back and you said the word currency. And I want to touch on that for a second because currency is a word I use a lot as well. Like money is currency, pride is currency, self-esteem is currency, contribution is currency, freedom is currency. And of all of the kinds of currency, I think money is the least important. However, because of the way the world operates, we all need it. And when you come back into a situation where you've stepped away to raise your children, and you come back, yes, not only are you making less financial currency, but the way you're made to feel in terms of your value and your perceived current skill set or your void of experience and work knowledge, or your when you have to tap out, when you have to step out, sort of like a hole in your resume. It's the impact of that is far greater than the $8 an hour. Can you talk about what you decided to do when you dug your flag in the ground and said, oh, not this girl?
Right. Yeah, not this girl at all. And I think my mom can attest to that. It's always been that way. I've always been not this girl. She's like, no one ever tells Michelle no.
Yeah, the thing that drove her nuts when you were little is now the thing that is literally changing the world. So
yeah,
what did that look like?
So I literally watched videos. Like the kids would be in front of, a movie or whatever, and I would be watching YouTube videos or lynda.com. I got like a, $25 an hour or $25 subscription to lynda.com or whatever. And I taught myself Photoshop. I taught myself Illustrator. I taught myself how to use WordPress. I taught myself all of the things, basically. Got on and learned all the different email marketing system. I taught myself all that stuff. And it was interesting in the work that I was doing at the time. Sort of some of the younger people that were interacted with me in my job, they would come up and they'd say, can you teach me how to do this Adobe Photoshop thing? I'd be like, sure, but dude, go get on the video and learn how to do it yourself. That's what I did. If you want to get to where I am, you got to do the work. You got to put in the hours. You got to put in the time. Nobody got to where they are just by sitting on their loofah. Come on.
Well, I mean, you make a good point, and I will echo that as well. But here is the advantage now people have of being able to get to work with you is they get to take advantage of all of the hundreds of hours of video you watched, all of the tried and frustrated and didn't work and then fixed it hours, all of the, years and years and years of marketing experience and communication experience. We get to take advantage of that because you put in the hours. But what did that feel like in the moment where you come back to work, you're a back to work mom, which oftentimes has a certain connotation in the corporate world. And now you have these younger people who are looking at you going, well, how do you do this when you were the person who is watching countless hours of YouTube videos and getting in the trench and digging and figuring it out? What did that feel like?
Well, I mean, of course, at this point now I feel very successful. I feel like, okay, I flip things around, and I know that when we go back to talking about that currency, I feel like, okay, I'm back to where I was. I feel like I've back to director of communications level, and I'm making my mark, and I'm feeling like I'm contributing. I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives and the work that I'm doing. And by the way, I'm still helping to care for my kids and, being a part of their lives. And that was really important to me. That's always been a value to me. So I felt like, okay, everything is coming together, like this is good. I feel like, I've got skills, I've refreshed everything, I've come to this place, and, I was in that role then, by the way, for like eight years. It felt really good, moved my way up, if you will. And then I got to the place where I felt like, okay, now it's time for me to grow up, and it's time for me to take that next step. And I knew that there was something deeper inside of me that I knew that I needed to give more and to give. I knew that I could do more even than what I had done. And I knew that it was time for me to grow in new and in different ways. And my kids were on the precipice. I've got my youngest now is a junior in high school. I've got two are out of the house, college and post-college now, just graduated. That is going to be that next time for me to like begin to think of myself outside of my kids even, and what like the next phase of my life and my career began to look like. And I knew that I was ready for something even bigger for myself. And for me, that like I could go and work. We live in the DC area, so I like, I could go work for some big, be a VP of communications or director of communications or whatever here in the DC area. But I was like, no, you know what? I want to do something for myself. Like I want to be my own boss. I want to help people. I want to help entrepreneurs. I want to help small businesses. That was my dream.
Well, you can hear the passion in your voice. And here's what I will say, because I have had the privilege of working with you. You really are an unusual combination of what I like to call roots and wings. You're the Swiss Army knife. You're in there, you're practical, tactical, your systems, your tech, you're doing all of the things, but you also have this unique ability to support the visionary, to support the person who has the ideas, because you lend yourself to that as well. How does this message come across? How does this communication come across? And most importantly, how do you help the coach, author, speaker, entrepreneur get their message out into the world? The thing that has impacted me the most about working with you is to be quite honest, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, your holistic approach, because you have the chops for sure, but because of your backstory, because you were the person who was at the top of your game and then came back and battled forward and learned all of the things you needed to figure out and learn and know, you have this innate ability to support the entire human being, because the person you're supporting, it seems like, is the person you were when you came back. You're trying to show your value, and you're trying to remember, and it's so difficult for many of us, right? Remembering our worth when the world tells us a certain something about ourselves, or, if you're a woman who, God forbid, is older than 32 years old, it's like, well, your value is kind of sort of diminished, and we have a role and a job for you, societally speaking. If you're an actor, you can play a mom or whatever that looks like. And the truth is, that's when you're just starting to sprout your wings, and having somebody like you alongside of us, coaches, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, change makers, messengers, whatever that looks like, is almost like having confidence in your back pocket along with somebody who can flank you as far as the tech and the business and the messaging goes.
Well, thank you. But I know one of the reasons why I named my company Shell Creative, because I felt like I love the beach, and I collect shells. All over my office there are shells everywhere, and I felt like it's not because my name is Michelle, which a lot of people think. It's because shells are all unique and they're all different. And if you pick up like a conch shell and you hold it up to your ear, it has a story to tell. You know where that shell's come from. It could come from underneath the sand and it's just made its way up, or it could come from another island, or from who knows where, right? We're all kind of that way. You don't know from where we've come, or what our story is to tell, or how we got the stripes, or how we got the colors on the shell. All of those are part of our story, and we all, each of us has that inside of us. And this tech that we have is just a way for us, a website or an email or a launch or whatever. It's just a way to get that story out, right? And then sometimes the waves hit us, or sometimes that sand gets in the way. And so I feel like it's my job to help clear all that out, to help get that out of the way and do what I can to be that hand that says, hey, how can I help you clear that out so that you can be that sand, that shell on the beach that's shimmering and glimmering and glowing, and so that everybody wants to pick it up and say, oh my gosh, look at this shell, it's so beautiful, I want it, I want to take it home, and I want that. So that's kind of where that comes from. And then this other saying is, shell yes, here's to your success. Like, yes, I've done it, yes. Like, how can I help get you to that place where you feel so good inside that you feel like everything you set out to do as an entrepreneur is living inside of you, that you just want to scream like, yes, I've done it? Because sometimes, and I know I've been there myself, like I've laid my head on the table and cried and felt like I couldn't go on as an entrepreneur anymore. I have had 2 of those moments where I felt like I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I know I've had those moments. I know others out there feel like they have too. And I want to be able to be that person for people that can say, let's clear out all the rubble. How can I help you and help you move forward? Shell yes.
Well, I love that so much. I know that we work in a lot of the same entrepreneurial circles. And here is something that I see that happens rampantly, if that's a word. You will have, and I notice it mostly in women. That's not to say it doesn't happen with men as well, but I notice it mostly in women, where a woman will go, oh, like I have this idea, and they will feel so excited, and they will look to, okay, who out there in the world is facilitating an idea like mine, or how do I learn how to put this out in the world? And the next thing that happens is those millions of grains of sand that they've heard throughout their lives, right? Doubts and fears, or even what we just talked about. It's like, well, I'm a 45-year-old woman, and how does the world see me? And does the world see me still having value, and so on and so forth? But what happens is, for many of us, that hell yes, we don't feel that very often. And if that had a word or an emotion with it, that emotion would be hope. And so we are not willing to give up that hope that we feel and experience so rarely, that we are willing to hemorrhage money on courses and masterminds and conferences and just spending money, because the truth is, underneath that, we don't necessarily have the confidence or the know-how to put it out into the world. Because if you're the person who has the idea, there's a good chance that you're not the person who is technically inclined to the point where you can facilitate, the processes and the systems and the technology and then duct taping all of that together to make sure the flow is working seamlessly. What you actually offer, in my opinion, is hope for the hopeless. It is the ability to take the person who was you, who has that gift, that wants to put it out into the world, leave a legacy, teach their children, offer whatever it is that they have in a way that that makes it out into the world so that they can not only have a business that supports their lifestyle and supports their family, but also allows them to be in alignment with who they actually are. There are so many people that are grinding it out in a corporate job and oftentimes feeling really shitty because they come back for, say, $8 an hour, or because the people that are holding all of the purse strings and, are the runners of the rules and the people who make the rules in the organization, and they let you know where your place is and they let you know where your place isn't. And that is soul sucking. What you actually offer is far more than, hey, I'm going to put together some systems and processes and help you with your marketing. What you actually help those people with is hope, is freedom, is financial gain, is the possibility of putting something out into the world that actually has meaning at the end of the day. And I was recently reading the book. I can't remember what it's called, but it was written by a palliative care nurse, and she talks about the regrets of the dying. And it's living your truth, putting that thing out into the world that you knew you wanted to do, but maybe you didn't have the guts to do it, or you just couldn't figure out how to. You are literally the solution to that. So to say that what you simply do is tech, or what you do is help with marketing, that's not what you do. That is the vehicle by which you do it. That is not what you do.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's like, at the end of the day, I mean, I always say, like, I don't do this work because I want to. I lay my head on the pillow at night saying, I sincerely love helping people, and it makes my day to know that somebody has had success, or somebody has found a, way to forward their business or whatever. I mean, that is what drives me. It truly, really, truly is. So, to hear you say that really makes me want to cry.
Well, you literally, you offer that same feeling that you get to go to bed with at night. You offer that same feeling, that same amplification of somebody else's voice, right? They also get to put their head on the pillow at night and go, yeah, I did it. I did something that mattered and mattered to me. I didn't succumb to societal norms. I didn't get in the box that my corporation wanted me to get in. I stepped out of it. I did the true brave thing. I put my message out into the world. It was scary. And I did it anyways. And the reason they're able to do it is not just because you help them facilitate that, but you have a certain level of compassion that allows those people to understand that you have been where they are and you know how to get them out. I always draw this parallel whenever I'm working with people on with story, and I'm going to share it with you today. Like if the person that you're trying to motivate or create a transformation for or get unstuck, if the visual was they're standing at the edge of this, dark, craggy, foggy precipice, and there's this rickety wooden bridge, and it's almost like you come to them and you're this Merlin with the cloak and the staff, and they are standing on the precipice of this chasm that they want to cross and they need to cross, but it's terrifying and they don't know how and they don't know the way. And then you come along and you're like, oh, it's okay, come with me. Watch out for the third rung. The third rung is shaky, so we're going to step over that. And just having someone like you guide them across, because when you look at that, it's terrifying. But crossing it is the only thing that matters, because everything they want is on the other side of it. And unless there is a Merlin or a shaman or somebody like you to take them across, chances are they're going to die with their feet on that line. And it has been so powerful for me personally, having the ability to work with you, because I can just sort of vomit all of my ideas and you take it and you stitch it together and make a beautiful something out of it. But I'm never going to be the person who's going to, look at the tech or figure out the tech. And it's not that I can't, but it's kind of like this. If you were to equate the people you work with as somebody who had this beautiful message and they want to drive across the country in this car. They're going to do this amazing road trip and they're going to drive from city to city and they're going to spread this beautiful message, and the people that they're telling it to are going to receive it and benefit from it and make a transformation from it. But then you say to that person, it's like, hey, this cross Canada tour is going to be incredible. but first you got to build the car. So they're like, okay, well, they're smart. They can spend 500 hours on YouTube figuring out all the stuff you figured out. And if 2 years later they finally build this car, they have been out of their gift for so long, they forgot why they were going on the cross country tour to begin with. You are the person that has built the car for them. Just get in and go on the ride. So I personally want to thank you for doing the thing that you do.
Thank you. I actually have to share with you a funny story that my mom always tells me of when my dad actually went to Vietnam when I was born, and so she was from California, and she went to go live with her family there who could support her, and I was just 6 months old at the time, and so she, in California they have these like apartment complexes where the center of the complex is a pool, right? And so it was her and me and family lived not too far away. And so, I was growing up there, and 9 months, no surprise, I started to walk, and it's like a little go-getter. And so she shares with me this story that every week, for some reason, I was fascinated with the trash truck. I loved the trash truck that would come by the apartment complex. And so she said, I would get all of the kids who would, play around the pool, and I would line them all up behind me, and I would take them all, kids 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever, line them all up and take them all to go see the trash truck every week. And I was literally 9 months, 12 months, 9, 12 months, 18 months, we lived there for a year. But during this time, I would line them all up and get them and take them over to go visit the trash truck. She's like, from the moment, it's like the moment I was born, this was like the thing. I would take them all over there, see the trash truck, and then they would be all done. Go see the trash truck.
And you're literally still doing the same thing now, but the version of that is you're taking them and you're showing them their own possibility, their own hope. It's like, hey, come with me. I know the way. Let me show you something really cool.
Right. So anyway,
last question for you. So you are the bridge for many people with respect to creating the life and the business that they want. You have this incredibly rich tapestry of story in terms of where you learned compassion for people who were just like you a few steps behind, and the ripple effect of what the people are able to do in the world now because of somebody like you is profound in so many different niches. If you only had one piece of advice or one message to leave behind when you're gone, what would that one message be for your kids, your loved ones, and the people that you work with?
Well, my favorite saying is carpe diem, seize the day. Don't let one single moment go by, without grabbing the most out of it that you can. But I guess followed closely by that is believe in yourself, and don't let anybody else tell you anything differently than, what you in your heart is capable. Like, all of us have this gift. We were all brought to the world to do something unique and wonderful and special. And it, you just have to listen to it. You have to listen to that. What is that inside of you that you need to bring out to the world? It's there. Sometimes it takes just a little bit of figuring out, but it's there. And you just have to believe in it. And, cut out all the distractions and cut out all the noise and just listen to it and then go with it and believe in it. And when you do that, man, watch out, world.
Well, you're literally a living example of that, because what you're doing and the way you're doing it didn't really exist before you did it. So for everybody who's out there listening, I'm just going to wrap that in a pretty bow as well. And there is a calling. If there's something that is tapping on your heart, there is a reason for that. And if you're surrounding yourself by people who can't see your vision, my suggestion is find new people, because it's easy to buy into what are the odds that's going to happen? What's the logic that that's going to happen? I've never seen that done before, but everything is possible. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for spending the time.
Thank you
Thank you
so much for
for
having me.
Honestly, thank you for doing what you do. You are the person that brings dreams into reality, and for so many people, for so many again coaches, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, but also for the people that they are now able to touch and impact and reach. Thank you on behalf of all of us.
Oh, thank you, Shelli, for everything you do. You're an inspiration to me too.
If people are looking for you online, where is the best place they can find you?
Shell Creative, Shell, like shell on the beach, shellcreative.org.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Love you. Bye.
Love you too.